Hello, everybody. We are here today to talk about a litany of filings. Sorry, it took me a couple extra minutes to start this live because I had to move the Popeyes out of the background. Okay, so we have a lot of filings to get through. I think 3 or 4 things were filed today. So what I'm going to do is break these videos into 3, and I'm going to talk about just, each individual filing in its own video. I mean, I'll probably talk about, reference them, but I'll probably make 3 separate videos. Okay. So the first one we're going to go over and read, you've probably heard about it already. This is going to be the one where Lynn petitions for Britney to be able to hire her own lawyer. So I think 3 or 4 things were filed today or showed up on the docket today. But if you look up here at the top, this particular one was filed yesterday. So that's the one we're going to start with. Today's the 7th. All right, so we do have here listed all of Lynn's lawyers. These are going to be Gladstone Jones, Glad, I think is what he goes by. Then we have Lynn Swanson, who's one of Lynn's lawyers, and then I think just those 2 are listed there. I think they are her only 2. No, she has one more, Yasha Bronstein. Yeah, so all 3 of her lawyers are here. The title of the document is Petition for Permission to Hire Private Legal Counsel. And then it says here, evidentiary hearing requested. This is where you would put, it varies by court, but this is where you would put, like, if you were demanding a jury trial or something like that. So in the context of a probate conservatorship, from what I understand, an evidentiary hearing is pretty much the same as a trial for, like, what, the lay people would think. It's pretty much like set up like that. You get to ask questions, you get to do a cross-examination. And so this right here, this okay to set July 14th, 2021, I think that means that they're asking the judge for permission to put this on the calendar, right, for July 14th, because we're already going to be in court there anyway. So, yeah. All right. So per ex parte order on July 2nd. What was filed on July 2nd? Oh, right. The Bessemer thing? I don't know. I don't know why this says per ex parte order right here. Okay. So let's just get started on this one. Let's see. It's 10 pages, probably a few, probably end up being like 6 pages. I have not read this, so let's go through. In an April 27th hearing in the underlying conservatorship matter, conservatee Britney, right? They're going to call her conservatee throughout. So conservatee, that's Britney, through court-appointed counsel, that's Sam Ingham, requested to be heard by the court on June 23rd, 2021. Then the lawyers go on to say, in a very courageous showing, Britney appeared by phone and spoke for almost 25 minutes, bearing her heart to the court in an impassioned plea to be heard on several requests. Petitioner Lynn Spears, interested party and mother of Britney, hereby petitions this court to listen to the wishes of her daughter, and as a first step, respectfully requests an order granting permission to the conservatee to hire her own private legal counsel. Or, in the alternative, they're asking for an order appointing a private attorney of Britney's choosing. I don't really know how those are alternatives. Oh, okay, I see. Okay. So it's a slight little difference here, okay? So they're asking primarily, what they really are asking for, Lynn and her lawyers, is for the judge to order, can I highlight on this? No, it's not letting me highlight, sorry. For the judge to order Britney to be able to go out and hire her own counsel. But if the judge won't do that, they're saying if you have to do this technically appoint somebody, fine, whatever. But at least appoint the person that Britney chooses. So I think that's a great way to cover both of your bases because you really never know what the judge is going to say. All right, appointment of independent counsel is mandatory at this juncture. Okay, I agree completely. To that end, petitioner, that's Lynn Spears, alleges the following. Number 1, Britney's requests. On June 23rd, 2021, Britney appeared before this court and made specific requests regarding her conservatorship of the person and the estate. They're going to call that the June 23rd hearing. Britney's lawyer, counsel for petitioner, so Lynn, the people writing this right now, note that a transcript of that hearing was requested. So Lynn's lawyers asked for a transcript of the hearing, and maybe that is what they were waiting for, right? We requested it and we paid for it, and we submitted it to court reporter Luna last week. And we anticipate that the transcript is going to be available momentarily. However, given the urgency of the situation, Lynn believes the immediate filing of this petition is warranted. Any supplementation that may be necessary. Okay, so what's going on here is whenever you go to court, this is always, there's a court reporter there that types up a transcript, and pretty much it's like exactly word for word everything that everyone said in the courtroom. So usually those transcripts are going to be available within a few days to a couple of weeks after the court date. So what they're saying here is we requested and paid for the transcript. And so we were going to reference the transcript and cite it, right, as our cite your source here. But it's not available yet. So we did pay for it. Here's the receipts. Ask Luna. But as of the time being, maybe we're going to have to end up amending this thing later, but we need to get this thing filed. And I completely agree because Lynn's lawyers say here, given the urgency of the situation, this is quite frankly one of the most urgent situations imaginable, as far as courts are concerned. There are emergencies, but a court wouldn't be involved, in every emergency. So I agree. Given the urgency of the situation, they probably should have gotten that transcript out as soon as they could. But you know what? I'm not a court reporter, and I really don't know what goes into it. So I'll not, drag the court. All right. So given the urgency, we need to file this right now. If we have to make amendments or correct the record or whatever later, that's fine. But we just need to get to the, point right here. So Lynn's lawyer says, specifically, in the June 23rd hearing, Britney requested changes going forward, including ABC. A, that the conservator of the estate is removed. That's Jamie. B, that the conservatorship be terminated without Britney having to endure another evaluation. C, that Britney be allowed to own her own money. Okay, before we go to the next page, let's read the footnotes here. So the footnote 1 is to letter A. The conservator of her estate needs to be removed, right? So this is Britney's first change she requested, and here's the footnote. Britney testified at June 23rd hearing, referring to her impression as to the lack of results from her testimony before the court 2 years ago. By just keeping the conservatorship going and keeping my dad in the loop, it made me feel like I was dead, like I didn't matter. Like nothing had been done to me, like you thought I was lying or something. I'm telling you again because I'm not lying. I want to feel heard. And I'm telling you this again so maybe you can understand the depth and the degree and the damage that they did to me back then. Okay, so this footnote is them kind of like citing what they remember the testimony to be in order to support this, that the conservator of her estate be removed proposition, okay? The second footnote is to this second request, which is the conservatorship, Britney wants it terminated without more evaluations. So they're gonna cite their source in this footnote down here. As Britney testified at that June 23rd hearing, quote, I don't think I owe anyone to be evaluated. I've done more than enough. I don't feel like I should even be in a room with anyone to offend me by trying to question my capacity of intelligence. I agree with her completely. Whether I need to be in this stupid conservatorship or not, it is my wish and my dream for all of this to end without being tested. I've met with enough people against my will. I don't want to be evaluated and be sat in a room with people 4 hours a day like they did me before. Okay, so that's them citing their source for Britney wanting not to endure any evaluation. C, elaborating on, so here's the third footnote, and it has to do with Britney owning her own money. Elaborating on her wish to own her own money in the June 23rd hearing, I shouldn't be in a conservatorship if I can work and provide money and work for myself and pay other people. It makes no sense. What state allows people to own another person's money and account and threaten them? I agree completely. And saying you can't spend your money unless you do what we want you to do. And I'm paying them. She's so right. Like, she made the most sense of any lawyer I've ever heard in this whole case. Okay. So I'm just going to read through the other things, the letters D through J, and then we'll get to the footnotes if there are more. So D through J of the things that Britney wants changed in the conservatorship. D, that she be allowed to ride in her boyfriend's car. E, that she be allowed to use her voice to take up for herself. F, that she be allowed to handpick her own lawyer by herself. G, that she be allowed to meet once a week with her therapist at her home. H, that she be allowed to see her friends. I, that she be allowed to get married and have a baby, and to that end, J, that she be allowed to have her IUD removed. Okay, so here's the footnotes. Number 4 footnote is that Britney testified that she has the right to use her voice, take up for herself. My attorney says I can't. It's not good. I can't let the public know anything that they did to me, and by not saying anything is like Britney saying it's okay. And she's saying my own people are saying that I can't say anything. So she wants to be able... So she wants to be able to use her voice to talk about the things that have happened to her. Then we have number 5. As conservative testified, Britney said, I deserve privacy when I go and have therapy, either at my home, like I've done for 8 years. They have always come to my home. It's not okay for them to send me to that small room like that twice a week with another new therapist that I pay. I begged them to make sure that they did this at my home so I would have privacy. I deserve privacy. I want this therapist once a week. I just want him to come to my home. Completely reasonable request given the circumstances. Number 6 says, yeah, this document is not a termination request, Sam. Sorry. Number 6 says she's not able to see her friends that live 8 minutes away from her, which she finds extremely strange, and I do as well. She said she wanted to take the IUD out so she could start trying to have another baby, but the so-called team will not let her go to the doctor to take it out because they don't want her to have children, any more children. Britney said she deserves to have the same rights as anyone else by having a child, a family, or any of those, and more so. Okay, so those are the footnotes. Let's get back to the document. The motion to appoint private counsel is of the utmost importance and may very well impact each and every of the other requests submitted by the conservatee in her live testimony at the June 23rd hearing. It is self-evident that before the court addresses, for example, the termination of the conservatorship, Britney must be allowed to consult with a lawyer of her choosing. As she herself testified in that hearing, I didn't know I could petition the conservatorship to end it. I'm sorry for my ignorance, but I honestly didn't know that. Clearly, Britney needs private counsel to advise her as to her basic rights in this conservatorship. I agree completely. Petitioner respectfully requests that the issue of conservatee hiring private counsel be heard on an expedited basis. Okay. So that was the first reason that Lynn is giving, or Lynn's lawyers are giving, for wanting Britney to be able to hire her own lawyer. The number 1 reason is her request. Britney requested these things, and they go through an enumerated list of specific requests. Number 2, in addition to Britney's requests, her spoken testimony, is her capacity. It is beyond dispute that this is a unique conservatorship. In the original petition for appointment of a temporary conservator of the person, Britney's given address was the UCLA Medical Center. That was over 13 years ago. Now, and for the past many years, Britney is able to care for her person and in fact has, inside of the parameters of this conservatorship, earned literally hundreds of millions of dollars as an international celebrity. I feel like I could have wrote these 2 sentences. I feel like I have written them on Twitter. To earn, a lot of us have, not just me, obviously, but to earn this money, Britney has had to perform in front of millions of people, has had to manage hundreds of performances, has had to use her artistic and creative talents to prepare for shows by choreographing each and every move for and interacting with many co-performers, and has had to rehearse and perform for many thousands of hours over the years. As she testified on June 23rd about preparing for Las Vegas residency, she said, I rehearsed 4 days a week. I was basically directing most of the show. Actually, I did most of the choreography, meaning I taught my dancers my new choreography myself. I wasn't good, I was great. I led a room of 16 new dancers in rehearsals. So the lawyer says her capacity is certainly different today than it was in 2008. And Britney should no longer be held to the 2008 standard, whereby she was found to, quote, not have the capacity to retain counsel. Okay, Okay. First of all, I want to stop here and say this is an excellent petition so far. I'm happy to see this coming from the lawyers. I do wish, as many of you, this had been filed before today. I mean, it's been 2 weeks. That being said, I'm going to give a couple of days grace period because I believe that the lawyers were probably waiting to get this, transcript. I do think, like, if I was a lawyer filing this case, I am a lawyer, but I'm not, licensed in California or whatever. If I was a lawyer filing this case, I would probably try to hold out. Until that transcript was ready so I could make sure I was citing exactly the right thing. Because if I didn't, let's say that they, misquoted her somewhere right here. Don't you know freaking Vivian and Gerald and all of them are going to make the biggest deal about it? My first and foremost criticism is this is late, but I can give a little bit of a grace period because, frankly, I think I would be waiting for that transcript too. And as of the filing of this, it seems like it's not available. However, what I'm really, interested in getting to the bottom of is why they filed this instead of a petition to terminate. And it's up to us, and we'll get through the document, we'll decide, and each individual can make their own assumption or conclusion. But their argument here and the lawyer's arguments here are, before we can get to any question even of terminating, right? So, before the court addresses the termination, Britney has to at least know what the hell her basic rights are. And her no good lawyer hasn't really told her basic rights. She just told us 2 weeks ago that she didn't even know she could petition to terminate. So before we petition to terminate, we need to make sure Britney knows her rights. So I would say that that's their argument. That would probably be what their argument would be if you were to ask them. I don't know, but we'll get through let's keep reading. That's just that's my thoughts so far. Okay. So basically they're saying the first reason that Britney should be allowed to hire her own attorney is because she requested to be able to do that, and we should honor her requests. The second reason is because she clearly has the capacity today that, maybe y'all didn't think she had it in 2008, but today, as we sit here today, she's done all this stuff in Vegas and all this other stuff. She has capacity to hire a lawyer, okay? That's a great second reason, okay? Number 3, California law contemplates the appointment. Okay, so now we're on the appointment of private counsel for a conservatee. So they went through common sense answers first, right? Britney clearly is able to, and she should be allowed to, she wants to. And now they're going to get into the law part of it, which is the law allows for this. And so because the law allows for this, we should be allowed to do it. So it says a conservatee may request private counsel pursuant to California law. The California Probate Code says in section 1471A that if a conservatee is unable to retain legal counsel and requests the appointment of counsel to assist in the particular matter, whether or not that person lacks or appears to lack legal capacity, the court shall appoint the public defender or private counsel to represent the interest of that person in the following proceedings under the division. And it says terminating a conservator or removing a The two of the things they cite are terminating conservatorship or removing a conservator. And so I think that the counter argument to this could be, yeah, that's what Sam Ingham is, because he's not a public defender. He is a private counsel because he does have a private practice. But maybe this argument would work. Let's see what their argument is here. In order to allow Britney to terminate the conservatorship or remove Jamie, both among the requests that she did already voice at the June 23rd hearing, if the court determines that Britney is unable to retain legal counsel because of the 2008 order as to her capacity to retain counsel, it's actually, it's a minute order. It's not like an order. I don't think I've ever seen a signed order from the judge that said Britney has no capacity. It was just kind of like a minute order, but whatever. Maybe that's what he means. Or they mean, rather. Okay, so if the court determines that Britney is unable to retain legal counsel because of that felonious or phony order that said she did not have the capacity to retain legal counsel, even though she had clearly demonstrated capacity because she retained counsel, this was the biggest constitutional violation of the whole conservatorship, is that they declared her incapable of hiring her own lawyer and attending her own hearing. It just took due process completely away from her. So now we're playing in this make-believe land where she doesn't have capacity when she clearly has capacity. Okay, so they're saying, all right, even if you want to hold up that bullshit, you can still appoint private counsel. And so they're saying, in addition, the code allows for the court to appoint private counsel for a conservatee in any proceeding under this division if the court determines the person is not otherwise represented by legal counsel, and that the appointment would be helpful to the resolution of a matter or is necessary to protect the person's interests. So they're saying, look, Judge, you have permission to do this. The law lets you do it. While Britney is represented in the conservatorship by Sam Ingham, she did not participate in the decision to appoint him. If nothing else, that militates for Britney to be able to make a choice as to her legal counsel. And I agree. I'm biased in this, so I'm not going to find a lot of reasons to attack it. If I had to find any counter argument to this, just to be fair, I would say, listen, it's just so clear cut to me that it's just corruption. That, that she wasn't allowed to hire a lawyer in the first place because she clearly had hired one. So that was weird to me. But the conclusion is, for the reasons that they state above, Lynn Spears prays for an order of the court granting Britney permission to hire her own private legal counsel, or in the alternative, to appoint a private attorney of Britney's choosing. And then so Gladstone Jones signed this, and this was as of July 1st. What's today, July 7th? So it seems as though he's had this drafted up, or maybe, I don't know, maybe they just misdated it. But I don't know. It seems to me like they probably had it drafted and they were waiting probably on the hearing transcript, or they were waiting on something. Okay, the verification is Lynn Spears, saying, and she signed this July 6th, so she signed it yesterday. She was stating what they needed. Okay, so since we do have a couple other things to go over today, I am going to end this one here, but we'll have a Q&A after the last one. So I will make this one available, and I'll make the live available, and then we will definitely discuss our thoughts and feelings and opinions, and whether you feel the same about, the whole Lynn situation, better, worse, and etc. So we'll talk about it after the last live for the day, and see you on the next one. Okay, bye.